So there is our ladder from a distance up the embankment. So have a look at this ladder. We want to build a strong base for this ladder. It goes up this embankment, and then beyond the embankment are beautiful walks up the mountain. So this ladder just needs some support, and then there's a view of the sea and the mountains from here. So it's all very beautiful. So this is the plan. We're going to knock in 2 spikes at the base of the ladder, build a little retaining wall, fill the retaining wall with rocks and sand, and then the ladder can stand on it. So our job for this now is to knock 2 or actually 3 spikes in here into the ground, and then build a little retaining wall, fill it with rocks and sand. So putting spikes into the ground, I've always found it easier if one knocks a metal peg in first. So that one's going in pretty nicely. Now we need to get some water, pour it on that, pull it out. The water will stop it, the sand falling back in. All right, let's water this. So when I pull this spike out, I'm going to at the same time try and put this in where it was. So there, that's lovely. Right, so now we're going to put branches here like that. And as we build up, we're going to backfill in with all these stones. Let me just show you what it's looking like from above. So that ladder is going to stand now on this base. So now we've got the base of the ladder secured. We're going to put a handrail that goes all the way to the top. So now we're going to drill a hole just there and put a screw in from here into this upright rail here. So we're going to take this wire, attach it to the base of that pole, come through here, and then we're going to tie it to the top of this ladder so the ladder can't move. Then we're going to wrap it twice around here. Like that. Pull it tight and just wrap it once or twice like this. Turn it around. Then it's going to go down here through this little groove we've made. It's going to go around the ladder. So there, now the ladder is secured to the handrail and it's all looking good. Thanks my dear assistant Debbie. So to come up, you just step, hold the handrail. I'm going to cut this branch out the way, cut these little branches out the way. Look how easy peasy it is to come up. And there we are. So Debbie's going to try going down for the first time. There's a first time for everything.
Perfect.
Sure. That looks amazing. Yoo-hoo.
Cool.
Cool. So there is our ladder from a distance up the embankment. After building our lovely ladder up the escarpment, we went for a walk to walk off some of the food we've been eating during this wonderful Feast of Tabernacles. So there are some marvelous walks in our area, and yeah, I'm so glad that we secured that ladder and made it possible to get to some of these walks up the mountain. Fantastic views we had at the top. So with the Feast of Tabernacles now over, I enjoyed my tent, tarpaulin, my pixie lights. Everything was so delightful that I think I'm going to leave it up for a while. Perhaps add a hammock. And when this feast started 7 days ago, this was 7 days of camping, I wanted to find out what I learned from the process of camping. So, one of the lessons that I really think I learned is how important relationships are. I mean, it was so nice being able to get together with people you love and share this feast time with them. Do things together. And whenever you're with people you love, but in fact even with anyone, when you even work colleagues or casual acquaintances, I want to talk about this concept of precedence, setting a precedent. Now, I live with a few people, my sister, and in our whole life we've never argued once. The same thing with my mom. I don't remember ever arguing with her. So when you argue with someone, or you allow yourself to go down that rabbit hole where you set a precedent of arguing, it's just so much better to resolve in a relationship that you're just never going to argue. I had a huge breakthrough when I learned that it takes two to argue. You cannot have an argument by yourself. And you don't have to argue. So almost never are you forced to argue. In fact, quite often when Christ was in a court situation, he would just keep quiet. He'll stand before Herod and won't say a word. He doesn't have to answer. He doesn't have to argue with Herod. So, and even in front of Pontius Pilate, he kept quiet for a lot of the time. Christ wasn't going to get into an argument. And the only reason he argued with the Pharisees was as a witness against themselves. Because the Pharisees were guilty of the unpardonable sin. And Christ had to let them know that they were. They were calling what he was doing by the Holy Spirit an act of demonism and Satan. But Satan was healing these people and raising them from the dead. And Christ only briefly argued with them, basically just to tell them how dangerous their situation was. So, in any relationship, you must resolve you're never going to go down that hole, that terrible sinkhole, that spiral, that rabbit hole, where you're going to get into arguing or impatience or anger or hurry up or taking for granted or shouting at people or unless you want that kind of horrible relationship where everyone is on tenterhooks around you, never knowing when you're going to blow up. What a horrible alternative that is. So when you like living at a feast and you're with people you love, or acquaintances, or people you got to live with, make it a point, a resolve in your mind, you are never going to argue with them. In fact, say you've got neighbors, no matter how bad or horrible they are to you, just resolve to say nothing and to smile and walk away and be as pleasant as possible. You don't have to, but they in your face, they're around you. You want to listen to those hardy-dars. You want to live on pleasant terms with everyone. And the moment you argue, you set the precedent of arguing again. The moment you shout at someone or get angry, you set the precedent in that relationship. It's better to never, ever go there. Once you're impatient, you set the precedent of being impatient again. So I say it's better to just resolve never to get into a situation where you are unkind, rough, impatient, nasty to someone, especially the people you love and have to live with forever. So, yeah, setting a precedent. And we've all got to live with each other for, in eternity. And I don't think there will be ever a precedent of people arguing and having to forgive each other, because it'll just be so not done to get into a conflict with your partner, your people that you have to live with forever. So even if you've got to live with them for your lifetime, set yourself that goal of never getting into a situation where you create a negative, horrible, impatient, nasty, arguing environment. Just resolve it's never going to happen. You're going to be patient, and you're going to have to bite the bullet, and you're going to have to. So it's much better to be forewarned and to recognize when you're getting impatient or you're getting into a situation where things are about to go south. So, what a lovely feast, lovely making our ladder up the embankment, not an escarpment, an embankment, and walking, how pleasant walking with other company, how pleasant, just keeping it pleasant. Keep it pleasant always. And nothing's ever accomplished by arguing. You don't change other people's opinions. You just create a feeling of, that was dirty. I said things I shouldn't have said. You got regret. You got to apologize. You got to do this, that, the other. Just don't go there. It's much better too. So there's my tent. I loved it. My top, I loved it. My pixie lights, I loved it. I'm gonna put up a hammock somewhere here. I'm gonna love that too. That's gonna be a bit difficult, but we'll try. Yeah. So that's that.